Madded to the Dark Lord. Chapter 1 to Chapter 4. Hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Arkae, my king. Please do not this to us. We have been following your order. You cannot take our livelihood away. How are we supposed to fend for our needs? Our children. Our elders. Please, my king. I beg you. She was kneeling down begging him. You have been warned, shaman. We do not take lightly on witchcraft in our kingdom. Enough. I've heard plenty from my advisors. You and your people are to leave the kingdom and search for another place to live. The handsome King Arkae stood up and was about to leave his throne when the old woman took out her hand. She held out an old dirty pouch and took out a handful of what looked like dust and blew it onto his face. Then dropped the rest to the floor. It blew up in smoke. His guards were suddenly holding her down, but her voice was loud and threatening when she chanted her words and cursed him to damnation. King Arkae vanished into thin air, and she was decapitated on the spot. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Aghhh. What did she just do to me? My body felt hot. My skin was burning. Like hot flaming fire was licking all over my body. I could still hear her chanting the words of a language that I did not even recognize. I could feel myself falling fast to a never-ending black pit. Where is she sending me to? She cursed me. I told her to leave my kingdom and she cursed me. I had defended her. I had spared her and her people's lives and let them walk away from my kingdom and she cursed me to. Where am I? It was not until my body crashed to the black soil I could see my surroundings. Vast deserted land of nothingness. Sky tinted in a deeper shade of red in a much darker color than the evening summer sun. It was a hot surrounding, but somehow I feel cold, like I was dead inside. Am I dead? Did she kill me? Am I in hell? I winced as I felt the hurt in body. I tried to move, but it seems that all of my bones had been crushed from the fall. I looked up but see nothing but black sky. This is it, you are done, Arkae. Your reigning days of ruling your kingdom is over. Aaghhh. What the? Aaghhh. Goddamn. Uughhh. Bones were cracking, I could hear it. It felt like they were adjusting, fixing, mending themselves. I've had broken bones before. And this felt 100 times worse than when you were popping your broken bone back in place for the healer to fix. I was groaning, growling in pain. My tears fall from the pain. My throat was sore from my screams. I was sweating bullets. Tears and sweat rolled down my face. My fingers and toes curled trying to hold the pain. I was in a fetal position, then quickly adjust, as my back was cracking in places I never knew existed. I was truly in immense pain. I was hoping that I could faint or even die. I thought I was already dead. Welcome. A blackened creature that looks like a small man with a tail greeted me. His face looked like one of the gargoyles from one of the ancient books that I read. Whe. Where am I? Am I? Aaghhh. Dead. I was struggling with my words. The cracking of my bones was still happening. I was ready to die if I wasn't dead already. You are in hell, my human friend. You have been sent down here by the sorceress. Just like me and a couple of others. Don't worry about the pain, it'll be gone soon enough. We all went through that. It's how our body evolved to the surroundings, it's part of their magic tricks. He shrugged while I was still tearing up on the inside. So, I was not the only one sent down to this hellhole. He was right. Moments later the pain subsides. I was feeling better but more and more confused. So, we are not dead. But yet we're in hell. Why? Come on, let's get you away from this barren land. Other creatures might smell you and confuses you with dinner. He waved his hand signaling me to go with him. I had no choice. Rather than to go with him, I didn't see the benefit of me staying put at my original place. I didn't even know if there would be any more creatures that might come my way and offered me any hints, just like this gargoyle look-alike man. Slowly I tried to get myself up. I was surprised when I felt my body was all better. I felt stronger than ever. But I choked when I looked at my hand. It all looked and smelled like burnt skin. And I had just realized that I was buck naked, with chafed skin all over my body. My hands went to my face, feeling the same harsh skin. Yup. You are not as pretty as you used to now, aren't you? At least you still got your height. Me. She freaking cursed me as a midget gargoyle complete with a fucking tail. Maybe she has mistaken me with Cupid. But lately, I knew it was her ways of taunting with my destiny. He gruffly said while walking his little feet in front of me. I caught up to him in no time. I'm Arkae. How long have you been here? I said to him lowly, still trying to adjust with my body and the flow of information that flooded my brain. Savaric. It has been too many decades for me. The next decade will be my first 100-year here, while the longest one in our camp is over 120. He said lightly. You mean 120 years? Damn. Yes, and he likes to rub it off in our faces, saying he'll be out in the next few decades. So, this is like our jail time. But I spared her life and her people's. Don't we get a say before any of her rulings? Whoa there. This isn't a kingdom. This is a pit of hell where you try to survive daily and get out of harm's way. Unless you got caught, then you will endure the punishment. And under here all things game. PFFT. You will thank yourself that you are no longer a pretty boy. At least with your height, you can defend yourself nicely. I still didn't know what he meant by that, when out of nowhere two muscular giants appear before us. God damn it. Me and my smart mouth. Run, Arkae. Follow me. I was about to do so when one of the giants grabbed Savaric by his tail and picked him up easily. I was looking for something to defend myself with when I saw that the giant had a single sword on one of his legs. He must have used it as a knife. But to me, that looked like one heavy-looking sword. My heart was beating faster as I feared for my life. I was hoping that I could pick it up, and smirked on the inside when I managed to swiftly take it away from him. I quickly climbed up to his back and slit his throat. He tumbled down with a loud thud. Then the other ogre-lookalike giant turned in my direction and lifted up his leg trying to squash me. But I quickly ran up to him and jumped him from the back and slit his throat too. I couldn't believe that I had this kind of power surged inside my body. I was dumbfounded with my strength and my agility. Even my reflexes were more in tune than when I was above ground. Wow. What are you before? A king? I didn't answer him. I was still baffled by my own power. Damn. You were one. Come on, Dario would want to meet you. The Cupid gargoyle fellow walked before me. He didn't thank me for rescuing him. But hey, I guess in the pit of hell there was no need for manners. We eventually reached their so-called camp. It was hidden inside the caves molded into the stone mountains. It was surrounded by trenches of hot molten lava coursing through its path. Why are we not bursting into flames by now? That lava looked boiling hot. I questioned Savaric. But he just gestured to his own body then to mine. MMHH. Hell power it is then. He introduced me to several beings there. He said that they were all human once. I saw less than 10 creatures there, each with different shapes and sizes. Dario was the first one who greeted me. You might as well get yourself settled here. It'll be a while for you, the red-looking man said to me. He was the one with the most human features from the rest of us. That day I found out just how long I would be condemned to this forsaken land. He gave me a book showing my future. It was unfolding right in front of me. 200 years. I was doomed in this hellhole for 200 years. That goddamn sorceress. Asterisk 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 asterisk. It was months later after I was sent to hell when I find out how being a true immortal really felt like. That forsaken day I was captured by the creepy crawlers. It was Savaric's term for indicating them. He said their native name once. But the language was far too ancient for me to remember. Oh, we're going to have so much fun with you. One of the crawlers hissed his words in my ear. as he slit his very sharp fingernails and draw blood to my thick shard skin upper arm. I was shackled to the low dungeon ceiling. My body was forced to bend and my head bows lower. My arms were hanging on each side of my body. He looks so strong. I bet he could withstand anything. Here, let me try. The taller bony crawlers came up to me and draw his sharp knife-like nails and slid them across the length of my backside, and stopped just above my hips. I could feel my flesh tore open, making me scream in pain loudly. Ahhhhhh. Stop it. NOOO. UMPPH. I slumped as far as my restraints allow me to, while they kept on tearing my body, torturing me. I could hear the little Cupid gargoyle words in my head. Just keep yourself away from the crawlers, they are the worst. You don't want to get caught by them. They know we're immortal down here. The things that they can do to you is beyond words. I was in their dungeon for almost a decade, until I finally managed to kill one of them and run anyway from their grasps, he said one day when he saw me walking towards their area. Months later I had carelessly wandered to their area again. I was looking for a way out, thinking that as an immortal, my time was best spent in finding a way out of this hellhole rather than trying to survive. But that day, I was proven wrong as parts of my body were slit open and I was in so much agony. I let out a deep growl and groaned louder, but it seemed to fuel them so much more, as they let out their high-pitched laughter, and slicing me deeper, making me drop even lower to the ground. Enough. Let's let him heal. We'll play again with him later. His screams are too beautiful to resist. The other crawlers let out his scratchy voice, making me shivered instantly. He noticed it and laughed hard, like a true evil demon. I was left alone in the small dungeon. I thought I was alone, until I heard a faint whisper on my right side. You are new. You are one of those immortals from the camp, aren't you? A deep voice was coming from the other side. I couldn't see him, and my body was mending itself back, making me hurt in ways I had never imagined. Why, yes, I hoarsely said. You are very strong. Get me out of here and I will repay you and let you live in my kingdom. His voice was full of authority. My skin was stitching itself back together. Somehow this hurts just as bad as the mending of my broken bones from the fall. I kept on growling and grunting from the immense pain. What kingdom? Who are you? I was trying to voice my words, but the pain was so intense that I had to pause a couple of times. I'm King Eustace from the North Kingdom of Hell. Savaric had told me about the kingdoms in Hell. He said that there were several kingdoms in Hell. They reigned various lands and spent more time at wars against each other. All kingdoms were pretty much chaos. It's Hell, Arkae. It's as expected. That's why we never venture to those kingdoms. We like our freedom and we're mortals. Creatures reside there to shield themselves from death. But since we don't get to die, here we are. Damn. I missed my kingdom on Earth. I missed the gathering. The food. Oh, how I wish I could eat again. Obviously, Savaric was right. Since there was nothing to be expected, why even bother? I just needed to get out of here, and back to finding out from this so-called hell. My insides were pulling itself together. I was sweating from the pain. I could feel my blood starts to rush and flow to the other part of my body that was severely torn away from my flesh. The little veins were creeping, sewing themselves to each other, allowing the blood to flow again. I'll make it worth your while. The voice started to speak again. All I need is to find a way out of here. Back to Earth. I groaned as I felt the insides of my stomach just stitched itself together again. I'll help. And in the meantime, you will be pampered. I didn't believe anything he said, as Savaric told me it's hell. So I just groaned to his statement. If I could manage to get out, if I could manage to help him out, then he would owe me. If not, it wouldn't be my loss. I still had nothing to lose. With hundreds of years in front of me, and with my immortality, I had nothing else better to do anyway. It was not until 3 slow agonizing weeks later that I finally see an opportunity. I was seeing their weakness. I had been studying them. Every time they had finished with me they become stronger. They were feeding off of my pain. My agony. My suffering, it fueled their strength. The so-called King Eustace was getting weaker each passing day. He was not recovering as fast as before. I was hearing the crawlers speak. They were going to dispose of him and gave him as an offering to the lower being. That day, I decided to give my all and try to break free. The moment they stepped into my quarters, I tugged the shackles that bound my hands. 4 days I had been loosening them from the ceiling and had finally made them loose enough yesterday. The crawlers were surprised, but I didn't give them the chance. Knowing that there were more crawlers out there, I had to make it quick if I wanted to escape the dungeon. I cut their throat with their own knife-like nails. It was not as much of a struggle as I imagined it would be. And they finally lay dead on the ground moments later. I got to the other side and opened King Eustace's quarters. I had no intention of helping him. I just liked the idea that some king of hell owes me his life. That was if he was actually true to his words. But that was not my concern at that time. I was worried about finding a way out and getting both of us out of there, but turned out that King Eustace was quite knowledgeable in that matter. We were finally out of the crawler's territory. I was about to part ways with him when he holds me back. "You are coming with me. I stand by my words." King Eustace voiced his mind in great confidence, like he had been ruling the underworld for hundreds of years. His facade was strong. The evidence of the crawler's tortures was still there, but he covered it well with his demeanor. He had a build of a man, but his demon facade showed what kind of evil resides within him. His skin was charcoal black. His horns were strong and big. His physique was ripped with muscles, no room for lean flesh in his entire body. He was even taller than me. He walked in front of me, knowing I would follow him regardless. And I did. I followed him to his kingdom. A part of me was also curious about what kind of kingdom he rules. I have lots of years to spare, so why not? We reached the gate of his kingdom. It was the tallest structure I had ever set my eyes upon. The guards knelt down and greeted him with the utmost respect until he raised his hand and walked through his kingdom. He led me to a large court, where there were beautiful female beings dressed in almost nothing. Animal skins protected only their private parts. They covered their king with his royal cloak in an instant. Then one of them smiled at me and whispered something her king. He nods and she comes to me with another cloak and covered my nakedness. I had been naked since I was captured by the crawlers. And I couldn't care less since I was in hell and my skin was nothing worth to be covered with. But the females here must have thought I was that bad and needed to be covered up. So I just let them. My eyes were still wandering to all of my new surroundings. The few months that I had been in hell, I had never stepped in any kingdom. And I was fascinated with all kinds of creatures resides there. "Come, let me introduce you to my trustees. Then you can rest for the evening." He smirked and invited me inside his high-looking tower. We walked up to more stairs until we reached a large open space with a stone-made throne at the far center of the room. He sat there, while I was left standing in the middle of the room waiting to be introduced. The two females approached him. One sits on his lap and the other one lingers by his side, while his hand strokes her barely covered ass cheeks. What kind of hell is this? I was suddenly hard. It had been months since I think about sex. I didn't think that I would be having intercourse here. I just thought it was one of those things that we didn't need. Just like how we didn't need to eat and drink. I never confirmed this with my little Cupid friend back at the camp, since we never had females to get myself aroused to. At that moment I was glad to be covered up by simple clothing such as the cloak that I was wearing, or my erection would definitely be visible for all to see. Moments later entered 3 male creatures, dressed in the same color cloaks. I would guess that they were his advisors. And I was right, as they start lining themselves beside him. And not in any way feel awkward with the almost naked females that were clinging onto their king. "Ah, My dear Anselm, would you call the executor for me? The king voiced his words as he nibbles on one of the female ample bosom. She was letting out the smallest whimper, making me clench my jaw. I need to get out of here, or I'll burst. Thankfully the executor came moments later bearing his axe. I could still see the blood-tinted the ends of its sharp edges. Why was he called? I couldn't care less, as I was feeling the twitch between my legs. Now Anselm kneels before me. His words suddenly cold, full of hatred. I was suddenly consumed by the event that was happening in front of me. He was asking this Anselm fellow about his disappearance. And why didn't anybody seek for him? My king, please. This was not my idea. King Eustace called the rest of his advisors to kneel before him, all fear for their lives. But their heads were off before they could even defend themselves. Damn. Arkae. You are to be my advisor. I believe that is what humans called them. You will stay within the kingdom and do what's necessary to make my kingdom thrive. I trust you have time in your hands. Just think of this as a way to spend your years in the most beneficial ways to both you and me. He hung his words as he whispered to both females and let them go, with a light slap to their ass cheeks. Now, I will let you rest, and my lovely nymphs Sabina and Muriel will show you to your chamber. They will take care of you for the next few days as my gratitude to you. He waved his hand to the nymphs as both of them descend from his throne and guided me to a dim-lit hallway. I'm Sabina. The golden nymph trailed her hand under my cloak. I'm Muriel. We will take good care of you, as you had so bravely fought the enemies of our king. The other nymph that had burnt scars and bright yellow eyes slither her arm across my back. I could hear King Eustace chuckle in the background. Their smell was intoxicating. Their presence was alluring. I was speechless and under their spell. I was throbbing with a desire to have them both. And as if they knew, both let out the softest laughter I had ever heard. Sabina had golden skin with specks of black here and there. It was like she was painted and created to be the excellence of beauty. She walked in front of us in a very light step, almost like she was flying, while twirling her long back golden hair. Then she stopped and pushed herself to me, dramatically parted my cloak, and brushed her almost naked body to mine. Her small dainty hands crept inside and touched my harsh chest. I shuddered instantly and quickly lashed my mouth to hers, while Muriel took my other hand and guided me to a room that she had opened just with a flick of her fingers. I was naked in seconds. I should be feeling uncomfortable with my horrendous-looking skin, but they adored me regardless. I was being kissed and licked and touched all over my body. Who do you call yourself, warrior? Both asked the same question at the same moment, making me twitch. Arkae. Well then. Now we know what to scream when we reach our high. Again both said the words, at the same time with the softest, most seductive voice I had ever heard. I'm loving this hell. Both nymphs pushed me to the very large bed. I was welcoming the soft touch of the animal skin cover on my back. It had been months since I rested myself in a fluffy bed. King Eustace was not kidding when he said that I was going to be pampered. Oh, damn. That's so good. I let out a low growl. SHHH. We know. Sabina giggled as she lowers herself down between my legs and starts licking me with her very wet tongue. Muriel was naked already. Her half-burnt body was not actually as it seemed. She was actually half-dragon. And I truly sensed that as she let out a hissing sound and I felt her tail caressing my face. Oh, my ladies. MMPHH. Damn. Muriel kissed me and pushed her tongue deeper, while her tail caresses me and her hands took my arms above my head. She told me to relax and said that they would take care of me. Months of not even thinking about sex finally made me burst so hard. But they didn't stop there. And apparently neither did I. How is this possible? Oh goddamn. They were taking me to another high. Then another. And another. After the third I wasn't even counting anymore. Do you like us, warrior Arkae? Would you let both of us fuck you? Sabina asked me in the most sultry manner, making me hard again. definitely liking this hell. She sits herself on my chest as my hands gripped her thighs hard. She moaned as I start to push her towards me and taste her essence with eagerness. I groaned while my tongue was still inside her, as I felt Muriel position herself between my legs. Her wetness sucked me like a vice. Then she grinds me and moves sensually slow, taking me higher with each push. Her hands were stroking my thighs. Her tail slithers and strokes Sabine's nipples. She was arching her back, turning her head, and started kissing Muriel with higher passion. Arkae. Oh my. You feel so good. You really should ride him. Sabina. Oh. UHHMM. I'm going to. Arkae. AAGGHHH. She climaxes hard as she clenched me tight with her wetness. Her tail slithers lazily down to my thighs, then continue lower to my calves, and caress them one by one. Moments later Sabina ride my still hard shaft, and grind me sexily as both of the nymphs kisses my mouth sinfully sweet. Our tongue meshes together as I was getting higher, while thrusting inside Sabina harder, over and over again. She was panting and breathing heavily above me, while Muriel lazily kissed and licked my nipples. Arkae. I'm going to. Again. Harder. AHHH. Her skin glitter and glow in her golden aura, while she basked in her orgasm. She was even more beautiful than before. Don't you think she's beautiful? She lets out her inner self when she reached her maximum pleasure. Oh. The succubus is going to have so much fun with you. They can smell your strength, you know. And you, my warrior, are going to be confined with us for days. We're definitely not done with you. Muriel slithered her tongue, licking my throat, while her tail pushed Sabina down lower to my still hard length and fucked me with her mouth until I climaxed hard and both nymphs sucked and licked me dry. We finally took a break. Both of them were clinging their legs on each side of my body, while their hands were resting across my chest. They were kissing and nibbling on my ear, as we were coming down from our high. I thought nymphs resides in forests. My hand rubbed Sabina's backside, while my other hand caressed Muriel's black raven hair. We are the demon nymphs. We had existed hundreds of years before any other nymphs. We are the oldest tribe of our kind. King Eustace ensures our safety within the kingdom, and this is how we show our gratitude to him. Muriel gives the side of my neck a long sexy lick, making me groan. MMMH. And that is why you have a dragon-like feature. I sighed as her tail slithered down to my inner thigh. Yes. The features that you seem to enjoy very much at the moment. Her voice was low, humming in my ear. Her tail slowly circled my shaft, and seductively gripping and moving up and down my length. My hips moved to her rhythm. I was hard again in no time. We eventually exhausted ourselves the day after. They both leave me to rest and said that they would come back later, saying the king requires their attendance at that exact moment. I didn't realize that I've fallen asleep until I was awakened by the murmurs outside of my door. I decided to see for myself what the fuss was all about, not realizing that I was naked when I opened the door. Basilia, he's not yours to play with. Sabina looked annoyed beside Muriel. Well, now I know why you've been keeping him hidden. He's a fine one. Strong, muscular. MMHHH. I can sense his strength. You are no warrior. I sense far higher power. Oh, I would be fulfilled for days after having you in me. The so-called Basilia shamelessly looked at me. Her eyes were feasting on my naked body, and somehow I feel a certain kind of pleasure surging throughout my body. Her fingers hover above my chest like she was taking me in, feeling me without even touching me. Enough. Muriel took her stand before me and possessively keeping me away from her. Muriel. It's fine, I said while kissing her cheek. Basilia. I was personally instructed by King Eustace to be accompanied by Muriel and Sabina. I have just arrived here, and I don't want to impose the king's kindness any further. Maybe later, when we have been properly introduced, we can get to know each other better. I gave her my smile, and she brightened up instantly. But then I was ushered inside by Muriel and Sabina, while Basilia stayed outside. I could hear her laughter as if she was taunting the nymphs. That's Basilia the succubus. You shouldn't get out of your chambers in your naked form. Within this kingdom walls there are too many sexual beings that would fight for your attention. But your words obviously had set her straight. The king's words are the law, or else she will get kicked out. And I doubt that she could survive outside of these walls with her delicate features. Muriel explained to me. I was remembering her. The succubus was a true beauty, the depth of her eyes alone could get me high. He's still under her spell, Muriel. We need to fuck him and let her out of his systems, Sabina said as she started kissing me. Muriel was kneeling under me as she took my length and eagerly started licking me. I was groaning in no time. What is this kingdom? Thanks for listening to the Bravonovel audiobook. Welcome to download the Bravonovel app. Read the novel Mated to the Dark Lord online and get the latest updates.